When filmmakers think about 133 Anamorphics, it's rarely welcome with high praise. And in some ways, I fall into that same crowd. Though I've had my fair share of using 133 Anamorphics over the years, I was honestly surprised with the overwhelming positive response of our filmmaking community regarding the Viltrox full-frame epic 133 Anamorphic lenses. So when Viltrox reached out and asked if I wanted to try them out, of course I said yes. The 133 Squeeze has been sort of the last kid you would pick for a pickup basketball game type of deal. With more intriguing offers in the market from 1.5, 1.6, even 1.8 anamorphics, why would you even consider using a 133 anamorphic lens? Well, subtlety is the best possible reason I can think of.
Who is Seth Haley?
I am a director of photography, kind of do a little bit of directing as well. A lot of stuff in the commercial space and a little bit of branded branded film. I think these are the budget anamorphic lenses that I've been looking for, because most of the time I want something on the cleaner side just because it's going to work for more shoots. And sometimes I want the anamorphic characteristics without it being too crazy, because some situations I need it to be, I want the anamorphic aspect ratio, and other times I'm going to have to actually crop into a 16:9 kind of look. I feel like these might be where it's at. Chromatic aberration is basically non-existent, which on a lot of other budget lenses, you get so much of that, it just kills it, especially when you're shooting into the sun or you have trees and leaves and all that kind of stuff. I just can't do that. There's no ghosting like I saw on some other lenses I tested. So that was nice. The one thing I don't quite like are these distinct, very thin blue flares. So when you go to the 35, it'll actually give you double flares. So I'll be trying to avoid that and just not shooting directly into a light source. But the 50, it's not too bad. Like it's there, but you can kind of work around it. And honestly, shooting wide open on this is some of the best wide open I've seen in these budget lenses. Yeah. So I like that. I think this is a lens that you could get and shoot most projects on if you wanted to.
Heard it from the man himself.
So I have some exciting news to share about today's sponsor, Audio. First of all, Audio is now an official sponsor of this channel, Cine Dailies. This is a huge step for the growth of my channel, and I'm super humbled that a company like Audio wants to support the content that I create. But for those who don't know what Audio is a music platform that's rapidly growing that has some unique and neat features that are based on the packages you select. They have something for everyone. Now, the standout features that I like to tell everyone about is the Link Match AI. So if you have a favorite song from Spotify, YouTube Music, or Apple Music, if you copy that link and put it into Link Match, it will find a similar song in Audio's library. Not the same song, but similar. This allows you to still have the same energy and vibe that you want to portray and be able to monetize that song. There are also some new exciting features coming to Audio Pro accounts. So if you're interested, use Cine70 so you can get 70% off of your first year with an Audio Pro account. Top link in the description. All right, let's get back to the video. Now, I am in favor of 133 anamorphics when it's needed, and the Epics are by far the cleanest 133 anamorphic lenses I've ever used. Sometimes too clean for my taste, but there is a practical use case for many other filmmakers. Sometimes building a look starts with a simple foundation, which gives you more control to dirty up the image later on.
This, from an anamorphic, this is the look that I'm going for.
Yeah.
Because it's not too crazy. Because most of the stuff, most of the stuff that I'm shooting is like, really shouldn't be anamorphic. The commercial
Not
stuff,
too dirty.
Not too dirty. I need it to be pretty clean.
I think most filmmakers today who want the instant cinematic look, you may be turned off by the lack of anamorphic qualities like barrier distortion or vertical fall off, because there isn't any in these lenses. Rather, there's a little pin cushioning to keep sharpness even across the frame with the Epics. And I think Anamorphics, like the Epics, give you a bit more creative freedom than you think. And it's really up to you on how far you want to go with the look. Now, obviously, not all 133 lenses are created equal, and so I quickly compared the Laowa 133 adapter attached to my Misc Athena 35mm, and I saw a notable difference in the character, especially with the distortion. Filming with the Epics in open gate with my Mavo, you get a final output of about 2:1. Retaining that extra height just makes it feel more grand even on Super 35. But of course you can go the more traditional route in filming in 16:9. Now I only have a few examples of the Epics filming on full frame. I used it on the GFX 100 Mark II and it's quite beautiful. And on full frame it just again enhances that separation and that look and is really telling of the character, how much distortion can you actually see, what are the flares like, this, that, and the other. I knew I was getting a lot of questions about what's the focus breathing like. And, when you're in the anamorphic world, focus breathing is going to be one of the inherent characters of that lens. Some do it better than the others. In this case, it's very well controlled, but it's not something that I just, worry about. I know there's going to be breathing somewhere, whatever anamorphic lens I pick up. It's just something I expect. The lenses are quite consistent across the board, though the flares do sort of vary. Like we mentioned earlier about this sort of double flaring in the 35. It's a little bit less noticeable on the 50 and the 75. Now, when it comes to the build, the first impressions when handling the lenses, it's clear that Viltrox intended the Epics to be on, bigger person crews. With proper rigging and support, this is not the run and gun lens you want to be pulling focus on by hand. In my mind, you need a first AC. Each lens sits around 4.5 pounds each with a focus throw of 270 degrees and a 95 front diameter. So putting this on a small camera like the X-H2S or the GFX, it's possible, but you need to be able to balance it properly. You don't want to have this lens ripping off your mount. Now, we'll have to mention the price. Since its release has gone up, each lens is about $3,100 per lens, and the set goes for just under $10,000. Now, to wrap this video up, would I use the Epics for my jobs? And to be honest, I don't know. The look has grown on me, but I'm more of a 1.5 type of guy when it comes to anamorphic. And though, I've made the cases for 133s being practical, it's not something I would inherently pick up immediately. I think the Epics do it really well. And I am a fan of Viltrox. One of my favorite lenses that Viltrox makes is the 13mm for the Fujifilm Xmount. So I like what they're doing with their optics. But for me, I'm not sure if this is something I would actually want to own. It's a very specific use cases for my kind of taste. But if the project calls for it, I will probably rent them out if needed, if that's the look that we're going for. If I want something a little more subtle and I can build upon later on if needed, then the Viltrox Epics would be perfect. So with all that I just said, you can justify if the lens is worth it or not. If I did have to pick one lens out of the bunch, I would pick the 50mm lens for Super 35 and for full frame. I think that's the most versatile and the most pleasing lens out of the bunch. All right, let me know in the comments below what you think, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. Peace.